What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Football Corner Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremiah Queen, and this is your first time viewing us on YouTube. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit that notification button so you could be notified when new videos drop on the channel. Also, hit the like button on this video you're watching right now and leave a comment below. If you're listening to me on a podcast app like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, even Spotify, go subscribe to the podcast. Now, let's go ahead and jump right into things. AFC, the championship weekend is over. Super Bowl matchup is already set. If you don't know, it's going to be Chiefs versus 49ers. It'll be a repeat of the Super Bowl that was in Miami before the war shut down. It was dark times back then, but now we're in 2024. Let's jump right into why did the Ravens actually lose against the Kansas City Chiefs? Let's see. You had home field advantage. You had the number one seed. You had the easiest path to the Super Bowl, and you had everything going for you. Number one defense, top five offense, number one running game. Lamar Jackson is going to be the MVP once NFL Honors confirms it, but he was first team All-Pro. So Lamar Jackson was voted as the best quarterback in 2023. Why did the Ravens lose? I think it starts with this. The difference between the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday wasn't because the Chiefs were the superior team. It wasn't that. Wasn't because the Chiefs' defense was just too powerful. I don't think so either. I think the reason why this team is not in the Super Bowl is lack of discipline and maturity. A couple episodes before Lamar Jackson even played in the divisional round against the Texans, I talked about the reason why I felt like the Baltimore team from 2019 that was the top five defense at a number one offense, the reason why they didn't get far, they got ran-rode by the Titans. I think it was a lot of the players in that team weren't mature enough. It was a young tight end, young rookie, young receiver, young quarterback. It was a lot of young players on that roster, and the veterans were all on defense. I think that this roster needed more veteran presence on offense in order to uplift what that roster had the potential to actually do that season. This comeback to 2023, I think that the Baltimore Ravens, a team that everybody had as a Super Bowl favorite, especially how dominant they were against teams who were winning records this season, I really thought that they will actually be mature and be ready to play. Too many stupid penalties happened on Sunday. Too many carelessness. I mean, the taunting penalty. Let's jump right to that. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of why the Baltimore Ravens lost. A lot of people saying, it was the run game. Lamar Jackson was missing receivers. He was overthrowing people. Go watch the tape. Let me know how many people was actually open on routes in that game. When you watch the tape, and all these analysts from various networks, ESPN, Fox, etc., who just say it was a Lamar Jackson passing problem, I don't think it was. With the stats, he said he completed only 54% of his passes. Okay, he still threw for 271 when receivers got open. Now, if you actually go watch the tape, like I did, you'll realize the reason why this Baltimore Ravens team did not succeed, one part was the running game. The running game should have been used a lot in that ball game. It was the lack of runs that deterred this offense initially. But look at the second half. The passing game was working. It was working. It goes down to look at the play by Zay Flowers. I don't want to blame a rookie because the rookie didn't do everything by himself, but momentum in football games. And anybody who watches sports know when momentum changes, it's not something you could actually quantify. It's not something you actually could break down and actually have proof of what's happening. Momentum is just a feeling in a ball game that it could change instantly. Momentum is what gives one side for a sports team the ability and the belief they can win this ball game or they have a chance to win. Baltimore felt like they could have won that ball game. It's 17-7. They're driving down. Zay Flowers catches a 54-yard pass from Lamar Jackson, makes a couple guys miss. L'Jarius Sneed was, and this is what the Chiefs were doing all game, they were poking the bear constantly. If you actually look on that play, when Zay Flowers starts to taunt him, L'Jarius Sneed was twisting his ankle. Yes, he was twisting his ankle on the play. All Zay Flowers had to do was just brush him off and get back. As you saw, Lamar Jackson, it was in the third quarter. Lamar Jackson was trying to go no huddle, get another play out before the end of the quarter and see if they could catch this defense scrambling. But no, Zay Flowers has to throw the ball and flex over his opponent. Now, do I like the taunting penalty? No. But do I know why the taunting penalty is in place? Yes. The reason why the NFL has implemented the taunting penalty is because they are trying to minimize the amount of fights from people getting over emotional on plays. And Zay Flowers got over emotional. He was trying to brag, as a rookie would do. He's a young kid. He was trying to brag and trying to flex on L'Jarius Sneed. Talk about, I just made a big play on you. You couldn't guard me. And because L'Jarius Sneed was twisting his ankle at the end of that play, he wanted to show to him how tough he was. In that moment, it wasn't necessary. And Zay Flowers is going to learn, don't do that in the biggest moments of a football game, especially in the playoffs. Let's go to the second play he did. He catches a pass, really good route, drag route across the middle, from going from right to left. Lamar Jackson hits him in stride, and he's going towards the end zone. Do not dive for the end zone. Just take the tackle. If you want to, try to run someone over. But if you better get tackle at the one, and then you could punch it in with your running back, Gus Edwards, who had double-digit touchdowns in the regular season. That could have happened. But no, you wanted to dive. You try to be Superman. Ball gets punched out by L'Jarius Sneed, who's beat again on the route. He wanted his revenge. He got his revenge. And momentum swung. Their defense, Baltimore defense played lights out. Besides the first two drives of the football game, the Baltimore defense was lights out. Second thing that happened was the fact that they go back down the field. Lamar Jackson hits Nelson Aguilar for a 30-plus yard passing play to get them back into Kansas City territory. Isaiah Likely throws his hands up. Lamar Jackson, trying to make a play, forces the ball into triple coverage, wasn't even close, intercepted. Now, Lamar Jackson, this is the points in the ball game. This is why I harped about Josh Allen last episode, was Josh Allen was not making the plays when the plays needed to be made the most. And Lamar Jackson missed a throw and when your team needed the most. Those two plays by itself, the two turnover plays by the quarterback and by the rookie receiver, and in my opinion, the rookie receiver turning the ball over shift the whole momentum, and it causes the ripple effect of what you saw Lamar Jackson does. Not excusing what Lamar Jackson has done. You don't need to throw that football in triple coverage. You both be able to stay focused, stay locked in, keep your composure, and you can win the ball game. This is why the Chiefs won the ball game. It's not because they were better. If they didn't score no points in the second half, they only scored 17 points. But the Chiefs team was able to keep their composure, be relaxed, have that championship mentality, and move on to the next round. This is why the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl, and the Baltimore Ravens, with another number one seed underneath Lamar Jackson being the quarterback, will be sitting on the couch when it comes down to Super Bowl Sunday. Let's talk about the people who actually won. And not even the Niners. I feel like the Niners lucked into that win, but give credit where credit is due. Kudos to the Niners for actually going back to the Super Bowl. 2 Super Bowls in the last 5 seasons. Congratulations. But let's talk about the dynasty in the making. And that's the Kansas City Chiefs. And let's go ahead and say the Chiefs actually have a dynasty. It's a dynasty. It's enough said. They've won 2 Super Bowls in the last 5 years. They appeared in 4 Super Bowls in the last 5 years. How is this not a dynasty? The only 2 teams to beat the Kansas City Chiefs was the Patriots in 2018, in which a defender was offside and later got cut after that game was over with. They could have won that game and went to the Super Bowl. And then you have another team in the Cincinnati Bengals, in which I think another team that no one caught everybody by surprise, got hot going into the playoffs, and went up to lose to the Rams in the Super Bowl. But other than those 2 teams, Pat Mahomes is in the Super Bowl. The one Super Bowl he did lose was because he didn't have an offensive line to block him, and Pat Mahomes, the 2-time MVP, made every throw you needed to make in that Super Bowl against Tampa Bay. And unfortunately, a lot of receivers had butterfingers, couldn't catch the ball, trying to bounce off their helmets, big drops in that game, and Mahomes was running for his life. The reason why the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 58 against the Niners is because they have the best defense in football left. It was the Baltimore Ravens, and I think the Kansas City Chiefs defense was very underrated throughout the football season. They were number 2 scoring defense. In almost every statistical category, they were top 5. And the Chiefs defense showed up when Mahomes' offense cannot show up. Andy Reid is one of the best offensive play callers we had. And even he will tell you that the Chiefs' offense this season was horrendous. It wasn't good. It was up to their standards. But Because you have this championship winning mentality and you have an MVP at quarterback, and now Mahomes has a top 5 defense, a number 2 scoring defense, a defense that can get takeaways. They have a first team All Pro corner in Trent McDuffie. They have a second team All Pro corner in L'Jarius Sneed. They have a really good safety in Justin Reed. They have one of the best pass rushers, a first team All Pro pass rusher in Chris Jones. This is why this team and this defense could go far, and this is why the Chiefs are back in the Super Bowl, because dynasties go in phases, okay? When you're a dynasty, sometimes it's be the offense you lead on. Sometimes the defense. Look at the Brady dynasty in the early 2000s. What did they lead on? The defense. Their defense is the reason why they were in all these positions, and their offense complemented what the defense could do. Now, fast forward, look at the new Patriots teams that were going to the Super Bowls. 2007, one of the greatest offenses we ever seen in NFL history. The 2014 offense was one of the best offenses we've seen in NFL history. The 2016 comeback season in the Super Bowl against the Falcons, that team was legendary, and they did legendary things, and they were one of the best red zone defenses in football. This is how dynasties are made. You have to have both phases of the football, and you have to draft good positions, good players, and positions of need. You don't even have to be star players. Trent McDuffie been balling all season. It wasn't for the Associated Press, he probably would have never got a Pro Bowl. He didn't get a Pro Bowl nod. L'Jarius Sneed didn't get a Pro Bowl nod. A lot of players on this defense are unsung heroes. Justin Reed didn't make it to the Pro Bowl. A lot of players on this defense were really good and made big plays and big-time moments. L'Jarius Sneed with the forced fumble. Trent McDuffie shutting out Odell Beckham Jr. This is why this team is back in the Super Bowl, and it's going to be a hard team to beat because now you have one of the greatest quarterback. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. Pat Mahomes is the greatest quarterback we ever seen. Simple as that. And when you have the greatest quarterback in NFL history, and then you have a top 5 defense backing you up, handling the other side of the football, not allowing opponents to score more than 27 points on the season ever in a football game, this is why they will beat the San Francisco 49ers in Super Bowl 58. Before we end this podcast episode, I want to just talk about the Detroit Lions and how great of a season you had. You went all the way to the NFC Championship game for the first time since 1991. Kudos to the Lions. You had 2 home playoff games. The crowd was rocking, and you were so close to going to the Super Bowl. My only takeaway from that game is Dan Campbell, your head coach, even though he's a great head coach and a really good coach and might even be Coach of the Year during NFL Honors Week, I think he made the Detroit Lions lose. Understand on 4th down, there was multiple times that Josh Reynolds did not make the catches he needed to make on the big play downs. Drops happen. Jahmyr Gibbs, he fumbled. But in situations where you could feel the game get it out of hand, sometimes you just have to take the points. Okay? People are going to say, well, the defense gave up all these points in the second half. The defense could do that. Sometimes it happens. But what happened was, every time you had a miscue by not converting on 4th down, giving the Niners field position, and giving them the ability to drive half the distance down the field, you made it easier on your opponent to have a comeback. It's tied for the biggest comeback in a championship game in the NFC, with the Niners doing it twice in the last 12 years, once in 2012, the last one in 2024. I think that Dan Campbell and the Lions will be back in the playoffs next year. But it's a sad loss if you're a Lions fan, because you could have been to the Super Bowl if it wasn't for your coaching not making the right decisions in the big moments of the football game. Thank you for watching and listening to the Football Corner podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast episode or you viewed this episode on YouTube, you can follow with more things I do on my social media pages at the Football Corner podcast on TikTok and Instagram. Thanks for watching and listening. See you next time.